You're listening to Haze Radio Network, Cannabis Lifestyle Radio.
You ready?
You guys ready?
I'm ready, whenever.
All right, guys, welcome back to Behind the Leaf. It's another wonderful Sunday. I hope you guys are doing great.
Hey, guys. Nice to be here. We got a great guest with us today. Before we jump in, we want to say a thank you to our sponsors.
Oh, yes. Thank you to Hemper for providing some amazing glassware in the form of the Das Boot over there in the front. And 710 for supplying some amazing products to put in those. I'm actually probably going to load up the good old Dabex here with some of the amazing concentrate that they've given us.
Yeah, I like the pre-rolls too, that pasta noodle as the filter. I've only seen that online, but pretty cool. We got to try that one out later.
And if you guys want some more information, please go on our Instagram and check the link in the video and on our Instagram bio to sign up for 710's Green Room. And we're going to get into the rest of the show here. We got Dan from the 91 Club.
How are you?
Guys?
How's it going?
Good. Glad to have you here. 91 Club is great. We were able to check out the space during the last Haze Cup. It was super fun. Do you want to get into how the 91 Club got started, like what it's all about for the viewers who don't know anything about it?
Sure, yeah. So I got the 91 Club just before COVID in March 2020.
Okay, fairly recent.
Yeah, and it was a place that my friend Joe Murray, the founder or the originator of the Sour Diesel, the AJ Sour Cut from New York, it was his spot, and he lived there, and I always loved it, and I always told him, if you're ever going to give it up, let me know. And I saw him at the Emerald Cup that fall, 2019, and he was like, hey, remember that spot downtown that you like? You want it?
Oh, that's awesome. He kept you in mind.
Yeah.
That's dope.
And I was like, I guess I do. And I kind of reverse engineered it from there.
Cool. Yeah, so it kind of just came out of nowhere.
It just seemed like an opportunity I had to take advantage of. And it was in the green zone downtown where I was already doing a lot of work in cannabis with brands and companies down there. And it just seemed like sometimes you just got to take a shot. And it felt right. And I'm glad I did.
That's honestly like the podcast. Same thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The opportunity came up. Andrew was like, why don't you guys start a show and talk about cannabis? And I'm like, hey, what's better than that? So just came at the right time. You got to jump on that stuff sometimes and roll with it.
Right. And it didn't feel like the right time when COVID hit right after I took it over to do, because I had a vision of doing events and private member club.
Oh, yeah. And COVID just shuts all that down.
Yeah. So, but luckily, it already being in the industry, I could pivoted to just a B2B kind of model for a showroom.
Right.
And just used it as a headquarters and a place to do business with all the brands and farms that I work with.
Cool. So if you can talk about some of the events you've had at the 91 Club.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a bunch of great events. I think our biggest cannabis event was probably the first Smoke of the Day family reunion, which was just last month. But Jimmy Devine did his Trans Bay Challenge 4 there, which is probably our second biggest one. And a really great event for the culture. Everybody had a great time. Nothing But Fire is a really great event that our good friend Mikey Cush put together, and it was the first one, so we were happy to be like the host of the inaugural event, and he's going to be doing one every year.
Oh, cool. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah. And Julie from Skunk Magazine did her summer launch at the event.
Okay.
And, of course, our friend Andrew at Haze Radio did his Haze Cup for 4th of July last year.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. That was our first Haze Cup.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That was a great event. And I think we have one of those coming up soon.
Oh, the Nothing But Fire.
The Haze event.
Oh, the Haze event, yeah. And also Nothing But
Cup.
Fire that you mentioned. We're probably going to have them on the show, too. So
great.
That'll be good.
Let me not forget, one of our most epic events is the Legends of Hash. We've hosted that twice now. Okay. And the second one was in the beginning of December. And they went all out. It was a 2-day event with an evening open dab bar and judging.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great.
And then a full dinner. And then the next day it was a Saturday brunch. And they had a full spread. I mean, it was epic.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Brunch. I'd be all over that. The Haze Cup. Yeah. The Haze Cup was really awesome. Though I don't know, Alec, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
That was an amazing event. They had wrestling and comedians and vendors and
food trucks,
a
and
VIP room and food trucks, and it was great. You guys got to come check out the next one on this Memorial Day weekend.
Definitely. I think like for me, that was like the first kind of cannabis lifestyle culture kind of event that I've been to. Just like growing up in the East Coast, we don't have stuff like that. I mean, you said you're from New York, right?
I'm from Connecticut.
Oh, Connecticut. Right. So right there. So it was really cool to like be in a space like that where it's like so welcome and inviting and like being able to consume, like, because it's new to me. So
I mean, it's new to everybody, unfortunately. You know, the community needs more of it, but due to regulations and rules, there's not more of it. But you know, we're in a unique position where we have a community center, and we're allowed to do events at our community center, and we have the approval of the city, and you know, it's just it's for the culture. And I wish there was more of it. I hope the trend continues, and I hope there's more places like the 91 Club for people to go. And
because it's more
definitely.
normal.
We have to make that a trend to for more people to open up spaces that are very similar to the 91 Club and everything like that. Because like we have to start normalizing cannabis style events and lifestyle events like that.
I mean,
to really
there's a bar on every corner in the cities.
That's what I was going to say. Really, there's no difference. If anything, it's a better environment. So I think that should definitely become more normal. Like, I mean, Alec always says this on the show, but like normalization before legalization, like breaking the stigma, events like that where people can come and like hang out with other people who love cannabis, and it just be like fun and relaxed and not have to worry about like crazy shit that happens when you drink, and you know what I mean?
And it provides a place for vendors that are small businesses
to showcase
that
themselves.
they get to sell their art, or they sell the stuff they make, and it's hard for them to get to market. Maybe the online store isn't busy, but when you've got 700 people there, they're going to make sales, and you know, it's a great opportunity for them too.
Of course, yeah. At the Haze Cup, we tried the weed woods. Those were so dope. I wouldn't have known about those if we didn't go to that event.
There were brands there, and like all the different kinds of cannabis events that I've been to. A lot of these brands can't get in dispensaries sometimes or in front of the customers, and even when they can, there's so many different brands in these stores. Like how do you get to them all? How like you can't check them. So sometimes these events are a more personal way to get involved with these brands and talk to them about what goes into their products and how they're providing you the best quality product out there.
Right. And you know, the rules are so strict that the consumers can't sample anything at the stores.
Nope.
Right.
So they can't even touch things.
Nope. You have to buy like an $80 eighth and not even know if you like it.
There's an opportunity to actually open a jar and smell a nug, and you know, like those things matter to the consumer.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think like Alec was mentioning before, you go in there and you're like, okay, I want to try this, but then you're also spending an arm and a leg on something, and then you go home and you don't like how it makes you feel, and you're like, fuck this, and you just spent how much money on it at the store. I feel like there should be a better, more efficient way of doing that. Like, and also trust with the brand. Like, if they like your product and they get to try it first, like you're already building that trust.
Right. And you know, that's like the 91 Club. When I first started it, like our whole ethos was going to be, we curate your experience with cannabis. Like, we're not the grower, we're the club, where we make sure what we have is connoisseur quality and checks all the boxes it needs to check, and we take pride in that, and it's something that comes natural to us because we've been in the cannabis for so long, you know. So we like to share that with people, and the newbies when they come in and they see the kind of terps that we roll with, you know, it's kind of always an exciting experience for people, especially from out of state that haven't had the California culture.
It's definitely
it leaves an impact.
Oh no, definitely. Like I think your first time at a dispensary was in California.
Yeah, and honestly, it wasn't that long ago. What, maybe like a year or so? Yeah. So it was wild because like it was so normal, and like from coming from New York, it wasn't so like that. Like people had certain opinions toward it. To be honest, I fell victim to that too. And now that I've been able to consume and see like what it does for me and like my anxiety, it's like, wow, okay, I was fucking wrong, you know?
Well, there's a lot of propaganda, you know? I mean,
of course.
Back in the day, we were drug dealers. We were, you know, we were bad guys committing major felonies.
So
you know, way longer than 7 years, so we're good there, you know. But
so cannabis has always been part of your life?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, my uncles smoked, my father smoked. My father was he had a liquor store and he sold weed and fireworks out the back door. So
Nice.
I was
That's
born
great.
into it, you know, and it's always been a thing. And, you know, where I grew up in Connecticut, it was real popular to go to the Grateful Dead shows. So they kind of as a rite of passage.
Right.
And like, you know, the older brothers would drive us there. And that was where we like first got the real kind bud. You know, like the first time I saw like really heady, like sick weed, like Northern Lights, you know, NL5, Haze.
Yeah,
and,
some like really good strains and stuff like that.
And then, you know, then you really become enthralled with the lifestyle, and it's kind of never looked back from there.
Yeah, I feel like once I started consuming and learning more about like the industry and everything, it's like it just bleeds into every part of your life. Like I don't ever see it not being part of my life anymore now that
And then
it
once
is.
you start consuming, you realize that almost everybody around you is consuming also.
It's pretty popular. Yeah, it's so crazy how taboo
Like
it is.
it's this weird elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about until someone finally brings it up.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about Grateful Dead shows when I first went to them. It was like everybody was open about having a good time and you know living their life, and I was hooked. You know, I took acid at my first show, and it was just like if I didn't
That must have been an experience.
if I didn't have a good situation at home, I probably would have just ran away. But I had it too good at home; I couldn't have done that. You know?
Yeah.
Like good parents, but. Yeah, I'm grateful for all of it because it really led to, you know, a whole career in cannabis. And it's, you know, the ChemDog 91 is the namesake of the 91 Club. And, you know, that was back in the day, that was the weed you wanted to find at dead shows. You wanted to get the chem. And
Oh yeah, because I was gonna ask like where did the 91 come from? All that, like how'd you guys get the name for the club?
so the inspiration comes from the ChemDog 91 strain, which is one of the original gas strains. It started the whole kind of contemporary cannabis movement back in the 90s with the sour diesel and the chem.
Oh, okay.
And I roll with that crew. They're good friends of mine, and you know, Greg and Joe both advise me on the brand, and we have access to their genetics and stuff. So it's a real, you know, OG thing that we're kind of bringing back. I feel like it kind of got lost in the shuffle and the cookies and all the other modern genetics. It didn't get they didn't get crossed into it as much, and I think they need to come back around. So
Oh yeah, definitely. Like,
everybody likes the gas still. It's just not as popular.
Right.
In a lot of circles, and all the purple weed is, you know, there's a ton of hype and there's a ton of good purple weed, but nothing hits like the chem or the sour, in my opinion. You know? So,
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the
definitely.
OGs.
Like a lot of these cannabis brands right now, like their buds are based on look and not necessarily content or like the effects of how it's supposed to be. Like they're driven by high THC content, so then that's going to affect their growing processes and which strains that they're going to crossbreed and all that stuff. So it's important to bring strains like that back, because eventually, if no one does, they'll get forgotten about and weaned out after a while.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen.
no, I mean, I was just talking about the Willie's Wonder, the Port Townsend Willie's Wonder we used to get in Port Townsend, Washington in the 90s. And that was the best, like, loudest, gassiest weed that you could find in the Northwest. And I started getting it back east, and that was how I met all the, you know, the ChemDog guys and the sour diesel guys, because I had this crazy Willie's Wonder from the West Coast, and I got in the circles that way. And it was, you know, that was another thing that just cannabis has always been good to me. You know, like I bring it around places, and I meet good people, and I get further ahead.
Yeah, I mean that. Honestly, I feel like now that, you know, this podcast is part of our life, and obviously cannabis is more part of our life, we go places and we meet people who also consume, and it just like starts friendships or business connections or whatever. And you just realize how many people are consuming or into it in whatever form they are. Like we're actually moving to Denver in May, and well, outside of Denver, but we were at a brewery and we walked in, we were hanging out, having some food, and the guy serving us, we find out he's in psychedelics. So I thought that was so funny. Like
growing
the
spores,
first night
all
there,
that,
yeah,
like,
growing spores. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Let me get your info. Let's see, like if we can, showcase you on the show and bring more awareness to like small brands, people doing this stuff.
That too, but also having that community.
And it's nice to see the psilocybin getting the credit it deserves.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
And becoming more of mainstream in the marketplace because us hippies, we've known about the efficacy of mushrooms since I was a teenager. So
since the beginning. I mean, that
turns out the hippies had it right in that department.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been learning more about it. Like I don't know the first thing about psilocybin, so it's all new to me. I haven't even tried it personally, but I mean, from what I've been hearing and from what I've been seeing, like watching documentaries, things like that, just learning more about it. I mean, it seems like it'll definitely be helpful.
Definitely. I started microdosing myself, having it help with like my anxiety and like day to day, just to see how it makes me feel. And it is completely different from cannabis, but it's a positive thing.
Oh yeah, it helps with creativity.
Like it helps with creativity, helps like keep you calm, relaxed throughout the day. And one thing I really do like about it is that I love cannabis, but it's like if you're gonna medicate and use it for that, it's like something you have to take every 2 hours or something like that. Psilocybin, you're good for 6 hours, like 7 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that's like a little hesitant for me just because it is a longer period of time. Yeah. And like with my anxiety, like going into it, definitely have to be in like the right headspace, right? Physical, mental space. Yeah, setting, all of that. But I definitely think it could be helpful. It's just the, fear of unknown.
Don't underestimate the power.
It's just breaking through that fear of the unknown.
Like speaking about setting, that's what the 91 Club's great about because it gives people a setting to be relaxed and comfortable around and with cannabis and everything that they want to do with it, whether it be something artistic or being a vendor or going to an event or something like that. It's really important to have those spaces.
Even just like an art show, like why can't you smoke a joint at an art show?
Right.
Why not?
More,
but I can walk around and drink a martini or an old fashioned.
It's celebrated, and So I mean, we've even had the fire inspectors tell us that they're more concerned about cigarette smoking inside, and they don't want that. But the cannabis is what it is.
I feel like an art show and cannabis though would go hand in hand. Like, why isn't that already happening?
Oh yeah, totally.
Because I mean, it spurs creativity and conversation, and it seems like that should. I mean, I feel like that's a recurring theme. It's like, why aren't these things happening? These things should be happening. But it's just like all these regulations that we have to go through. But I mean, it's worth the struggle once we get to be able to do events like this and really like bring awareness to other brands and people like doing the work that don't get the recognition right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. So what made you make the decision to go down the path of I'm going to make cannabis like part of my career and everything?
I mean, it's the old cliche thing that you just start selling weed so you have free head stash, and then it turns into a whole lifetime of it. That's pretty much the easiest way to put it. But I've always been drawn to it. I've always had kind of an energy relationship with the plant. Wherever I go, it finds me. So it's always been a flow for me that worked. You know? And why if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Have you ever grown before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not much of a grower, but, you got to have a notch on the belt and you're in the culture.
You got to try it.
I've done it.
I feel like everyone's got to try it at least once.
Oh, yeah, no, and I love it. It's a great process, but it's just, I'm the guy out on the streets and I'm the, doing the stuff, and it's not my lane, but tons of respect for the guys that do it. It's
hell yeah.
People think it's like a lazy thing you can do to make extra money, and that is not the case.
No, it's an art. It's a science.
It's a craft.
It's a craft.
To get it right it takes some serious effort.
From everybody that we've talked to Doc Ray from Doc Ray Genetics to the Patrick the Soil King, like there's so much that goes into growing cannabis that people just don't realize. It's not just like when you were back in school and you put like a tomato seed in like a plastic cup and waited for it to sprout. Like there's so much that goes into it, especially when people are using it medicinally, because if you're putting bad fertilizers and bad additives into your soil or while your plant's growing, then that's going to affect how the end product and how that comes out and how it affects you in the end.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely think with
shout out to the organic farmers.
Yes, definitely shout out
to the organic farmers.
Yeah, I mean, even just talking to the Soil King and like him saying, you know, everything starts with the soil, with the foundation. I don't think people realize it, or maybe like we take stuff for granted all the time, but it's like those OGs, like those cultivators, like need their their recognition. They've been doing this for a long time, and we've talked about this before, but I feel like certain cannabis events are planned per se during times where growers can't be there, and that's kind of messed up in my personal opinion. Like, why would you do an event during harvest? You know what I mean? Like,
especially
these events,
one of the biggest cannabis events,
right? I think like my first cannabis like event, I walked in and I'm like, this doesn't really feel very like a cannabis event. It was everything else but cannabis. Like Champs was cool, but the thing with Champs is like I just wanted the glass is the best part of Champs. You know?
Champs has turned into the Delta 8.
Delta 8 and Kratom
show.
I
know.
Kratom show.
We spent basically our whole time in the middle watching the artists because
that's the best part.
That shit's like magic. I'm like, how are they doing this?
Some of those pieces are so cool.
I was
there
cool.
this year too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten dabbled in glass blowing at all? Or?
No. But I know a bunch of glass blowers. You know, Greg, the Chem Dog 91. He's a glass blower.
That's awesome.
He makes some really sick stuff.
Yeah, the stuff that they were making there, I mean, like, oh my gosh, the camera and the wolf head and it's like so intricate, and like watching it is just like mind blowing because what goes into that too. People don't realize how hard of a craft that is.
Oh yeah,
glass blowing it's ridiculous. I mean, back in Wilmington, where we are now, like we met a local glass blower, and it was funny. We were at like one of those craft fair farmers market type things. I'm like, Alec, there's glass.
Yeah,
and he thought I was talking about like.
You're talking about like cups
or whatever. I'm like, no, there's glass. And he turned around, and I think it's cool. Like wherever we go, we always find someone who's in like a similar lane like that. It definitely like brings people together. It grows that network.
Oh
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So what events could people be looking forward to be coming up for the 91 Club?
Well, we've got a really great event tomorrow. We got Strains and Sounds 3. SoCal Cannabar puts it on. We love hosting it. He's going to be doing a monthly. I think the Strains and Sounds 4 is April 8th, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then May 18th is Strains and Sounds 5. He's got Swayze for that one, so that's going to be people are pretty excited about that.
That's pretty cool.
That's going to be dope.
But we're doing a big event on June 3rd. We're doing it's going to be called Surf Skate Roots Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a show with a lot of art from the Dogtown Boys and the Z Boys.
Okay.
And West Coast, West Side surf skate culture.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of legends in the house. It's going to be a big deal. We're going real big on it. And we got some real veterans in the game getting involved. I'm really excited about it. It's kind of going to be our like grand reopening because we just we were putting in AC, we're dressing the place up and making it nicer and
give it a nice facelift.
Yeah, and we just want to like reintroduce it to everybody and come out strong this summer. And it was really hot last year in there, and people were complaining, so we're handling that, and that's going to be our like kind of coming out party of 2023.
That'll be a good way to kick off the like warm weather.
Yeah, there's nothing better than a nice event to kick everything off. So for people out there listening, if they wanted to attend one of these events, or even if there's a brand out there listening and they want to participate in one of these events, how would they go about that?
I mean, they can reach out to us. We've got a website, www.the91club.com. We're on Instagram at On the Bus Industries, at the Vortex DTLA.
Mm-hmm.
And they can reach out, through our networks and through Andrew and, however. But we're down to do more events with the culture. We're a little picky about who we do it with. We don't want to just saturate.
Just open up the floor to just anybody.
We want to keep it special. We don't want to dilute the quality of the experience there. But as you know, there's a lot of quality brands and people to do things with in Cali.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Of course.
I just look forward to the market being healthier in general because, as we all know in cannabis, it's been pretty brutal for all of us the last couple of years especially, and it'll be nice to get things back on track. I feel like it's starting to turn for the better.
Yeah, I definitely agree. How long have you been out here in California?
I've been in California for 12 years on this round.
Okay.
I lived in Oakland back in 2000 for like 3 years. So that was my first run of living in California. I lived in New York City for a while after Connecticut.
Okay. All right.
And I had an art gallery in New York City in the East Village from 2010 to 2014. And it was dope. It was called Oracle 113, and we actually became more known for our parties and like our clothes and our fashion than our selling art.
Okay.
It was a lot harder to sell art than we anticipated.
Yeah, because like, it's hard. Like, this was very subjective.
Yeah, but
really
we had a
finding the
great
right person.
time, and it was a great run. And shout out Oracle 113.
Yeah, I feel like everyone we talk to who has been out here and like made the move out to the West Coast, they've never regretted it. And like us going out to Colorado, I definitely think is like the change we need to, because where we are now, there's no. I mean, there are obviously people who consume, but there's no cannabis culture. And it's hard, like, being in a place where, like, you have to worry about what you're doing.
It's stupid, yeah.
It is stupid. It's so stupid. I've mentioned one of my friends before. She lives in Alabama. It is, like, the strictest place ever. And I'm like...
Oh, yeah.
It's just ridiculous, like, hearing stories. And
I mean, could you imagine?
You get arrested for a sprinkle.
And
weed out there.
I mean, and the people are locked up for years in these states, right, under these draconian laws. And the federal government is bartering to get Brittany Griner out of like a Russian prison because she had a vape cart.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got people locked up for decades. It's bonkers. I don't know how they deal with that on the inside. Like we need to free all pot prisoners now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Look into your local communities. If you're in a cannabis-friendly state, there's always something. I think there's like the NORM program or something like that helps people who have been arrested for cannabis use or cannabis possession or anything like that. So if it's something that you're interested in, please go check that out and support what these groups are doing.
Yeah, Last Prisoner Project. We've done some work with them. They're doing good things. The 40 Tons brand.
Yeah.
Shout out. Weed for Warriors. There needs to be a lot more given back, in this... for the people that have really been affected. I mean, full disclosure, I did a year in prison for cannabis. 2006.
Wow.
Had a little issue when it wasn't legal and had a lot of weed and in Connecticut and
back then things weren't as friendly as they are now.
Yeah,
very different.
Thank God it was only a year because they wanted it to be a lot more. But good lawyers.
Oh yeah, they always want to rock on those years for cannabis charges. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense half the time. It's just like, you're like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's very backwards, and we definitely have to, correct these like injustices that we've done, because I feel like people, who are paying the ultimate price here for what?
Yeah.
For fucking nothing.
And it's very easy for the younger, newer generations like ours and other people to forget about these guys who are old pioneers in the industry who have put in a lot of leg and groundwork to get where we are today with some of these strains and in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
And some of them are still sitting in prison.
We take a lot of this for granted.
It's very easy to forget about those guys, but we can't, and we got to remember that if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we are today.
It's true, trailblazers. Somebody had to do it because people are always going to smoke the plant. People need the cannabis.
And whether it's cannabis or not, I mean, in any emerging industry, there are always those people who have been there from the start and are the ones that build it up to where it is. So respect, serious respect to all those OGs out there, the ones that we also get the chance to sit here and talk with, because I feel like they have all this knowledge to share, and it's really important to share it to like that new generation so that keeps going. So, these myths and all this bullshit that they put out here, it doesn't keep going.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of, shout out to my boy, Ricky Palomino of Ricky's Brothers Kush. He's going through a little rough time. He had a surgery. We're setting up a GoFundMe for him.
Okay.
We'll put it on blast soon. And, he's got the legendary strain, also known as the Snush, which is Snoop's favorite Kush.
Snoop's favorite.
And he was Snoop's tour manager for 17 years.
Oh, wow.
So he had the job of like making sure Snoop could get it around the country on tour. So they have it grown in certain places.
That's
and
awesome.
Another OG that helps him with that is Adam Dunn out of Colorado. He's helped Ricky with the strain, and they're nursing it back to health. It needed some tissue culture, and the 91 Club is going to have the strain in its stable next year once it's healthy and we're ready to
awesome.
go.
That's awesome.
So,
That's awesome. So yeah, if you're out there listening and you want to give back to one of the OGs in the community, we'll link that GoFundMe with this video and put it up on everything, and you can go help somebody out.
Definitely. Yeah. What I know we spoke about some events coming up for the 91 Club. What do you hope to see with the 91 Club? Let's say in the next year or so.
What do you like to see where it takes you?
I mean, we've got a lot of traction, and we're, behind the scenes, we've got some big plans. I can't talk about too much of it yet.
Oh,
Right.
of course. You don't want to give too much
But,
away.
there's a clear need for places to consume cannabis and celebrate life and do cool stuff in every major market. And, we're part of this thing, and we're part of the movement, and we're going to be here.
Right. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, so it's on.
Yeah. I feel the first, what was it? Maybe it was the Haze Cup. The first time I was like at an event like that. But then also we went to a cannabis lounge in West Hollywood, and it was just like, it was so cool. Like, it's funny, like talking about it now, because obviously now this is way more normal than it was first starting out. But I was like, oh, this is okay. Because like, I wasn't used to being in a place where it was okay.
It was okay
always,
where you can order cannabis kind of like
People aren't
at a
hiding
bar.
in the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
Behind a dumpster in the back alley or something like that. And also we can't forget about Zach from Hemper's Comedy.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
We went to his event and everything, and that was great. The comedy show, and you can openly consume cannabis and everything. And it was great to see cannabis used in such a normalized setting, as we've been talking about, because settings like that and normalizing cannabis use in that setting is just like that's what the industry now needs to move forward.
Right. I mean, I wish Cali was like New York. New York, when they went recreational, you're allowed to smoke cannabis anywhere you can smoke cigarettes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep. The way they made it, if you can legally consume tobacco there, anywhere you can legally consume cannabis.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. It's like, what's the difference? It's like you can still be. If you're still
don't
concerned,
discriminate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, smoking the joint or whatever is better than the cigarette anyway. So, if we're being honest, yeah, exactly.
Gave those things up a long time ago.
Oh yeah, definitely. And if like you really want to get technical with it, cigarettes, nicotine, that technically gives you a buzz, and it technically alters your state of mind. So if you really want to look at it,
definitely psychoactive.
Yeah, it's definitely psychoactive. So like, how much different is that from cannabis right now? Like if you they want to be like, oh, we don't want people doing it in public, stuff like that, but someone can smoke a cigarette on the sidewalk and no one's gonna bat an eye.
It's just all like unlearning, the propaganda that we've just been fed for so long, and like I said before, like growing up on Long Island, like it was just different. Like, I mean, I don't know, Alex's experience may be a little different than mine, but it was just like the whole DARE thing, don't do drugs, say no to drugs. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it was never spoken about in like a positive light. But I also feel like it's just because people are uninformed. Like they're they're not educated, and they're just going to believe the first thing that they see on the internet, or, that their friend tells them, that who knows, if they're even telling, spitting facts or not, you know?
And people are just afraid of, things outside of their comfort zones. And there's been enough propaganda and around cannabis where it's uncomfortable for people.
Yeah, and I feel like also some people just having a negative first experience with cannabis will make them...
I was just going to mention that.
Yeah, will make them really hesitant to go back because they're like, oh, is that what I'm going to feel like every time? Like they don't realize that there's
they eat an edible
more than
that's
one
too
way
strong.
to consume, or something that's too strong. And like, I feel people obviously need to be more open-minded, but also be willing to try. It's just that whole fear of the unknown, fear of if you're not educated, you don't know how much you should take, because obviously it affects everyone differently.
And there's so many different ways to consume cannabis, and they're coming out with so many different ways every day, like edibles to vapes to dabbing to flower to I've seen inhalers, tinctures, topicals, everything.
Breath strips.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've tried
I've
those.
seen those. I've tried those before.
Yeah, those were cool actually. I like them. They're just like Listerine strips, basically.
Have you guys tried fruit slabs edibles?
No,
I don't think
we have
so.
not.
Shout out Fruit Slabs.
Fruit Slabs.
It's a vegan kosher gummy made of fruit. So it doesn't have added sugar, and they're delicious.
Okay.
They're better for you than like real sugary gummies.
Yeah, like that, like those companies who are focusing on like good ingredients, high quality
like
ingredients.
That's the one counterpart with the whole edible gummy candy situation is that if you are trying to medicate and do something that's healthy, but you're having the delivery method is unhealthy.
Right.
So it's kind of like counteracting each other a little bit, where it's like, all right, I'm getting cannabis, but now I'm eating all this candy, so now I'm probably gonna get myself diabetes.
Yeah, I feel like with the edibles,
It's all about the balance.
All moderation. I feel like with edibles for me, like not my preferred, just because it takes so long to set in. Like the more like fast acting ones that are coming out. We spoke with the CEO of Wink, and I think like seltzers and things like that definitely are more normal. Like having that at a bar or at a party, or that's like a good way to introduce it to people, I think, for the most part.
The fast acting nano stuff makes the drinks easier to like consume less and scale up,
Right.
Because you can actually feel it quicker and then decide if you want another drink or not.
Yeah.
Like when you eat a gummy, you gotta wait an hour and you don't know if you want to eat more or not.
And then if you eat more, and then all of a sudden it hits you, and you're like, "Oh, that's a lot."
It's a lot more than
I don't have
intended.
that problem, but
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't either.
Just keep eating.
it's
it.
gotta be a lot for me to.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's got to be a lot. I really haven't found too many edibles that really hit the nail on the head and do it right for me.
Have you tried Space Gems?
No, I have
Full
not.
spectrum rosin gummies. Those are nice.
Those are nice.
We have the gummies here
Yeah,
from
I'm excited
710,
to
the hash
Try these
rosin.
the hash rosin 710 Labs gummies.
Yeah, those hit good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the brand. Thanks again. Shout out to 710 Labs for the sponsorship. They've given us some really great stuff. And I think the other part of it is this is like a high quality brand. They trim every nug by hand, and it's like that's what you want. You want the trust with the brand you should know like where it's coming from, like what's going on. I mean, it's with anything, even food you're putting in your body. Do you know where half that shit comes from? You should.
Right. Yeah. No, they've done a great job with the 710. It's a really well curated brand. Good terps.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely know what they're doing over there, and they know how to push out one of the best products that I've seen in like dispensaries that you can really get consistently.
Right.
Yeah, consistency, authenticity, all important with the brands.
Because like with cannabis smokers, they want to rely that their brands, like not even just 710, but like every cannabis brand out there, that they have the consumer's best interests and in mind, making their products that they're going to be consuming and putting into their bodies, and even sometimes using as medicine.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that we've definitely like come a long way, and there are people who are doing it right, and like those are the brands that we should be showcasing and all of that. What's your preferred method, I guess, of consumption?
I mean, if I had to choose one, joints.
Yeah,
Joints.
I'm the same way.
I get a lot of people like a lot of older school people joints all day long.
Joints. I mean, that's what I would pick.
I like it all. I like good bongs. Like I have, shout out Jerome Baker. I love Jerome Baker bongs.
Great stuff.
Oh yeah, we gave one of his bongs away recently for MJ BizCon.
Yeah, we did
year.
a giveaway, and funny enough, we put all the names in the randomizer, spun the wheel, and it was one of his friends from high school.
Oh,
So now we're like, bro, we gotta link up, and so we can try this thing.
Yeah, we sent to him. He was all happy. He was all ecstatic and happy about it. And like, they're a great brand. Jerome Baker makes some great stuff.
Yeah, you've been to the Dream Factory. I haven't.
I have.
But definitely have to
Cool
make it
spot.
out there.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I think that, like I said, the glass blowing, just art is wild to me. It's incredible because how do they take these like rods of glass and all of a sudden it's this amazing sculpture, and it's wild. Like what was it, Windstar glass at Champs? The stuff she was making was incredible. I'm like just standing there in awe watching her taking videos, and I'm like, to pick someone's brain like that who's been doing it for so long, I mean, that their knowledge there is priceless. That's like even just having OGs on our show, like I said before, like having Doc on here, that was awesome. Talk about genetics, things that I don't know anything about.
Right.
But definitely to share it with our viewers who, may not have, and some of this stuff isn't common knowledge, So
Yeah.
I think it's important to put it out there in the world.
That's great.
And for these young people who don't even know who these OGs and pioneers in the industry are, to introduce them and get their faces out there and be like, hey, this is the reason you have this, like you have these strains that you're smoking. Anything from like Blue Dream to Sour Diesel, like we're used to, like we were used to on the East Coast and something like that. And if it wasn't for these guys, we wouldn't have any of these strains.
Right, the kids think that the hype weed started with the cookies, but we were doing it. We were doing it in the '90s with the sour and the chem.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
and the super skunk and the NL5 and all the Durban poison.
Yeah. What's your favorite OG strain?
I mean, my favorite OG strain, maybe the Larry OG.
Yeah.
Okay.
Josh D. I mean, I like them all for different reasons.
Oh no, yeah, it's always hard just to pick one.
I love the Ricky's Brothers Kush. Yeah. It's such a good classic Cali Kush. But I'm the 91 Club. Like I'm always going to be loyal to the Chem 91.
Oh, you got
of course, yeah, definitely.
It's a great strain. It checks all the boxes. It's got everything you want, in my opinion. If you had to go with one, but Sour Diesel too. Like between the sour and the chem, I could be fine.
Yeah, didn't you have Sour D for you were hitting
Oh
on
yeah,
the Dab X?
definitely. We had Dab X on the show, and they brought in some really, really nice Sour Diesel concentrate.
Oh yeah, that stuff was great. I also love that device too. I think that's really cool. It's definitely super innovative. I like seeing the new technology come out and stuff that's sleek, also discreet if that's the way you want to do it. Right. Because you don't have to do it one way. There's no one size fits all. I think it's funny though, because I feel like on the East Coast, like dabbing isn't really like a big thing.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's funny.
At least
like
not that
I'm
we've
like dab. Yeah. But for me, it was funny. Like the first dab, I'm like, shit, that's really hitting because I'm not used to it. It's a whole new world.
Level, and you got to know how to do it right. It's people are intimidated because it's a little complicated. And shout out to my boy Arturo, who's my right hand at the club, also known as Arturpo. I've been told on many occasions that he's given people the best dab of their life.
Oh,
so he's got it down pat.
He's got it down to his science, basically.
Yeah, and we're lucky to have him there.
Because it is really a science dabbing.
Yeah, when the real good hash is in the club, we just let Artie set it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't even touch. You step back, be like, hey, let the master take his job over and be like, this is why we keep you around, guy.
But we'll have to get him on one of these.
Oh yeah, definitely be able to teach us how to take the perfect dab.
Oh yeah, I would love to hear that. What his advice is, his tips, tricks.
He's pretty scientific with it.
Okay, cool. I'd probably just sit here like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Cool. You get those people that just sit there and blast that banger or slurper until it's red hot, and they burn half the terps on there and don't know what they're doing.
Another back in the day story. I met Artie when I was working with the Higher Vision Cannabis brand, which is the brand that Alex and Allison Gray did the original artwork for, which they're pretty iconic psychedelic visionary artists in the space. And I met Artie, was their terp distiller. He was the one making all the steamed terps for their carts. And I always liked him. We got along. That company didn't work out for a bunch of reasons, not Artie. And we reconvened during COVID. He had moved back to LA, and he's like, I'm not up there anymore, and I'm looking for work. And I was like, oh, perfect timing, man.
I feel like a lot of things came out of COVID, a lot of positive things, even though it was just a negative time, especially when it came to cannabis. People still wanted their weed and needed their weed,
Yeah.
It's deemed essential.
As much,
Amen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Facts.
Like, that is what kind of boggles the mind a little bit. It's like we can deem cannabis essential
in jail
in a crisis, and we have people in jail still. We have states that it's illegal. It's illegal, and like, where does that make any sense at all? Nothing.
It really doesn't. And like, even people who have whatever opinions they have, and some. We have to hope people are going to be open-minded. Some are still going to be, stuck in their ways or whatever. But now that we started this podcast, I feel like so many curious people, that I would have never thought before. Family members, friends, a lot of older people, grandparents asking about it. And I'm like, I think a great way to like ease someone into that, like the tinctures, the topicals for someone who's like not about the smoke, not about, inhaling like that way. So I'm like, try it this way. I mean,
I mean, my mother is the gummy dealer of her little community in Florida.
I love
That's
that.
awesome. That's great.
They love it. I mean, it's it's good for arthritis. It's good for sleeping.
It's great for a lot of things. Especially when you get older, your joints are inflamed. Your diet maybe not as what it used to be because and whatever other medications because you're older that they have you on. And cannabis is a great thing to help a lot of those ailments and maybe even replace some of those medications.
I told her, I'm like, you need to step it up. You need to start doing pre-rolls.
There you go.
Yeah, definitely. And even non-intoxicating forms of cannabis.
I was going to say that.
Like juicing.
People who are worried about getting
the
high,
entire plant.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about juicing until we had, shout out to Jesse Barney on our show. And he was telling us about a friend who had CP and he started juicing cannabis and was taking walks around the block. Like stuff like that, stories like that. It's just you can't deny that kind of thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's medicine. Hopefully, we'll get that across to as many people as we fucking can.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of other countries are further ahead than ours in that department.
I mean, not even with cannabis, other stuff too.
Yes. That's a big leap we have to make. Once it's federally legal, we'll be able to do as much research as we can on the plant and really dial in how exactly it helps us, the best ways for it to help us, and really get the correct information that we need out there so that we can safely consume and medicate ourselves.
Yeah. I'm honestly just been really surprised by all the cool brands coming out, like All About Choices, like all these innovative ways that are new and interesting. And I'm always down to try it. Hey, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But I think it's pretty cool that people are out here doing crazy stuff. Like you're telling me I can get high off mashed potatoes? Sounds great to me. You know what I mean? Some pretty cool stuff. I
think drinks are going to be bigger and bigger too.
Definitely.
As it becomes more socially accepted and you don't have to smoke and you can just like you're at the bar drinking. I think they're going to get that more popular because the formulations are just starting to get that kind of stuff right, And,
no, yeah, totally. We had a drink company on the show, shout out to Wink. And then another edible company an episode ago, All About Choices that we got up there. And we were talking that drinks are probably going to be what makes it into the normalized market first. And like you're going to a sporting event, you're going to watch the Knicks or some shit.
Give me a Red Bull. Give me
a beer. Let me get that cannabis infused seltzer or something like that instead of my White Claw or anything. When you can do that, that is going to be a big leap.
When it's in social settings like that, especially, I feel like it's going to be more normal. And you'll have people curious and asking you about it. Oh, what are you drinking? Oh, that? Okay, cool. Let me try it. And also they're small dosages, 2.5, 5. Right. So you can stack them too. For me, I'd probably do the 2.5 and be completely fine. But
but for right now, clubs like the 91 Club that you can go to events and consume cannabis and be in a friendly environment like that is what we have right now, and it's gonna make those leaps to where we can eventually have drinks at sporting events.
I'm looking forward to that event tomorrow.
And we're
excited to have you. Come check us out.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show. Do you have any shout outs?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, shout out to Aaron and Artie. We're holding down the house when I'm gone. All the Sour and Chem Dog crew, all my boys at IC Collective. They just got a new grow going in Chicago. I'm really excited about that for them.
Yeah.
Cool.
My boy Brian at our Vital Organic. Shout out for organic farming.
Shout out to all the OGs out there doing the things.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And this guy over here.
And for Andrew.
This madman over here on the soundboard.
Yes, thank you for being here.
And my new homie, Jay, over here.
Well, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks to all of our sponsors, Hemperor 710, about to dive into some of this amazing 710 concentrate right now. And it's going to be a great rest of the day. We'll catch you all guys next Sunday.
Stay happy, healthy, and high, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys. It's fun.
You're listening to Haze Radio Network, Cannabis Lifestyle Radio.